Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Happy Empowerment Show. I am so excited today to introduce you to another dear friend. And it's kind of funny. We've become dear friends virtually. We have yet to meet in person, but we felt off the first communication we had like this amazing energy. So I'm so excited to introduce you to a very, very dear friend, Eglantina Zingg. And Eglantina is a fashion icon. She's a philanthropist. She is an official agent of peace for the United Nations. She has started a program called Goleadoras. And I'm so excited because she also has a brand new podcast to inspire you that she's going to be going into with us in just a little bit. But I have to say, our sweet friend Gabriel introduced us together because why? Gabriel has the same amount of fabulous positive energy too. And Eglantina, the moment I met you, I was like, okay, I like her. We're already going to be best friends. We're just going to have so much fun because it was energy meeting energy. And I'm excited to introduce you to our audience so that way they can fall in love with you just the way I have as a friend virtually at this time. So thank you and welcome to the Happy Empowerment Show.
I am so thrilled to be here with you. And I love this platform. It's amazing. You're just contagious of, as you said, this incredible energy. So
thank you.
Let's hit it on, girl.
Let's hit it on. So Eglantina, you know, you have accomplished so much in your career. And I think that a lot of people at times, when they look at somebody as yourself, you're a beautiful woman, model, actress, has been on so many runways, has been on so many magazine covers. It's easy to put a beautiful woman like you, unfortunately, in a box. And I want to know, what are those stereotypes that you've had to get past, or have you had to get past any of them? And if you have, what advice do you give? Because I think that right now we're in the rise of the female, and there's a lot of these beautiful women that are coming out and are really changing the world. And I think too many times we've been looked at as dolls that you put on a pedestal, if you will.
Yeah, I think, we've also settled ourselves to become those kind of, women in ways. I think it has a lot of pride to be a housewife, a mother, a teacher, whatever your purpose is, just find your service. I do believe there's well, we just have, International Women's Day was just around the corner.
Yes.
And people kept celebrating, and I was like, really, it's more of that a celebration. It's like a reminder of all the things that, we've some other brave women have paved the way to get us to be able to drive, to be able to get a college degree or even a bank account. But still a long way ahead that we have to work on. Well, for me, it's not a celebration, it's a reminder. As in my personal experience, I had from, even from your family and from your family members, from your friends, from work, and mostly with relationships among other women that that will not, people feel more comfortable if they can put you in a box, if they know where you are. If you keep evolving as life is, it's dynamic, it's not static. Everything that is static, everything that is alive is dynamic, it's in constant change and constant evolution. So even more, a lot of women and a lot of I think they have a hard time trying to acknowledge that or celebrate that or say or take the risk to say that. Yesterday, I was speaking to our dear friend Edgar Ramirez, who's starring in this movie, which starts tomorrow, March 12th, Yes Day. And it's so idea of committing to one day of the year to say yes. Mainly the movie is for kids. But I was just in a conversation with him about, like, how do we transition as young to adulthood, from teenagers to all adults, to become from yesers to knowers, and it all becomes no. So we're constantly restraining ourselves from, or preventing ourselves from having, saying yes, and that experience that is yes. A couple years ago.
Interesting you say that, because look what's on my desk. I literally, as we discussed earlier, I've recently gone through a divorce myself, but it's having to make that decision for yourself to say yes to yourself. And this book by Shonda Rhimes, which I do recommend for you, such a good book. And it was because she realized as a successful business person that she thought she was saying yes to life, but she lost herself in the process and said no to a lot of things, but didn't realize it because she thought she was saying yes to her responsibilities, but she wasn't saying yes to here. And it's such an impactful book. And friends gave that to me that knew I was in transitions. They said, you need to read this book. And I highly recommend it to you on that one, because it's truly helped me lead with my purpose personally through my transition.
No, listen, and I'm so happy, as we were just speaking a little bit, for you to have the power and the guts to be able to say yes to yourself, to what is serving you in any relationship. I have the contrary problem. I constantly yes, and then
I'm trying to get you to say no to a couple of things so we can say yes to everything else.
But today is not my no day. Today I challenged to say yes, and I've been up to doing so many crazy challenges since 6 a.m. in the morning, from eating onions and dessert for breakfast and jumping into the very, very cold water. Even though I'm in Miami, it's just very windy and very cold. I had to jump in, all my clothes on, because I'm doing whatever my challenges were accepted by my audience and whatever the people in the movie asked me to do. But I think it's very important for us in general, for any relationship, to give themselves that opportunity to say yes to themselves, as you did right now. It's a crucial moment in your life. I wish you all the best. I know you're going to be successful and brilliant. And as you are shining and shredding anything that cuts your wings, it's not serving you. So we as women, it's important that we build a community that supports us. It's important that we're not fighting over, this basic ideas of women are supported by men, women are nothing but a rib from a man, or you feel scared. And I think the most important thing is to have that economical freedom, to have that freedom, and to have that economical freedom, you have to have a voice, you have to have leadership, you have to have guts, you have to go out and get a job, and there's so many ways of making a joyful life and fulfilling. Because yo creo que el trabajo dignifica, y ese es el esfuerzo que hacen goleadoras. We give them the tools. If they want them, which in my experience is that they're desperate and eager to have that little push, that little that will show them a whole different perspective. And
on that note, I had to tell you, I don't mean to interrupt, because I don't want us to skim over. You've done an amazing job with goleadoras. And I would love our audience to know a little bit more about goleadoras, because personally, I played soccer. So, I already had that passion. But when you told me about what you do, I would love for our audience to hear a little bit more about your idea, how you founded it, and also the difference, because you're a change maker globally with this amazing initiative that you started.
Well, thank you for those kind words. I, in a very humble way, I had no background in what social entrepreneurship is. I am not telling me I'm a philanthropist, but I started this not with having a big name of fame or an extra money that I needed to, instead of paying taxes, let me do goodwill. Truly believe that instead of opposing and getting indignada and super pissed off by the situations that are the circumstances that we have around in the world, typically mine coming from Venezuela, that I think, what our job is to do is to debate ideas, to bring up solutions that would help us coexist. I grew up in the Amazons, in the middle of a jungle. It was my father, my mother, me, and my two brothers that came occasionally. But there was no any other person but my mom and my dad that I could talk to. And all the natives that were about 6 hours away in a canoe that will come once upon a time. And they did not look like me. They were not dressed like me. They did not speak the same language that I spoke. And I had a soccer ball. And with that soccer ball, we connected. We laugh, we share things, even by mumbling. It's a universal language. And it's a universal language, and it's the most popular sport in the world. And yet women in 70% of the countries are not well seen or allowed to play soccer. And in most of those countries, they are even banned from watching a game. There was a terrible story about 2019, 2 years ago, in Iran. The these three girls. There was like the match was like the Real Madrid and El Barça. So the two most teams in Iran were playing this final, and these girls dressed up as men to go watch the game because they are banned from watching the game or walking into the stadium. So they got caught, unfortunately. They got arrested. They got sent to jail. They got abused, tortured for over 3 days in the most horrible ways that you can imagine. And they left. They when they were set, let loose. They set themselves on fire in front of the court, try to make it a something for the world to notice. What we do with goleadoras, and it all starts in the idea of proposing a solution. It's a universal, something that connects us. It's something that is also the great pride of many who stands or do not think they have an opportunity, or are born with a different color skin or a different tradition or a different zip code. That's their chance. Sports is the greatest, es el nivelador más grande que existe. Y que las mujeres no tengamos esa oportunidad, que las niñas no tengan la oportunidad de nivelarse, de ser respetadas, de ser aceptadas. Bueno, es la cadena, ese círculo vicioso, that cycle that we're interrupting, and we're changing those average mindsets that still think like that. But I'm very hopeful, and I'm muy esperanzada, porque veo que el horizonte es positivo. I think the world technologies that are connecting us with the information that we have in our hands, that we're able to work together as a race, not as women or men. It's like, I was telling my nephew last year, we spent a lot of time in COVID, and he was like giving me his point of view of what feminine and masculine and what their duties are. And I was like, listen, I think you have a very, I'm not going to say wrong, but a point of view that perhaps is not the best, because, I don't think the qualities of strength, of humbleness, of empathy, of collaboration, of courage don't come assigned in a kid if you are a gender, a male or female. It's not. They come as a human qualities.
It's a human characteristic that we have.
It's like, well, and I think they have done a great job in the marketing spaces and all this other, kind of platforms and organizations and conspiracy theories of marketing women as the weak link. And it's a pressure for men too, to be the ones that, as you were saying, they don't cry. They will go cry else, but you can't cry here. You cannot be vulnerable when you're a maricón. Or we're not the weak link at all. Neither women or men, but I think reevaluating what our purpose is, how we can collaborate, should be our new mindsets. The world has been changing. In 2020, COVID, like you see, the girl that works with me, her kids are, been sent to school. They have this incredible software that they can learn on the computer, but she doesn't know how to use it. So they're giving tools, but you're not giving them the education. So what we do about goleadoras, it's educate them with these tools in a simple game, which is very no-brainer. They are learning leadership, reaction. They are segregating and dopamine. They're running. They're losing. They're winning. They're working together with a common goal, playing each one of them a different role. As you were saying, I've been always the goalkeeper, and now I'm playing defense, and now the striker. And they all play different parts, but you all play as part of a team, as something that is bigger than yourself. So Goleadoras was born with that. As I did it because I'm a woman, and I've suffered all those differences, all those, I guess, I don't know how you call them. Stereotypes, yeah. Well, I have stereotypes. Been like, you don't look Venezuelan. And tell me, how do Venezuelans look?
Or for me, no eres mexicana. I'm like, si soy mexicana, traigo nopal enfrente. No, I understand.
Estrellas en la frente. Sí. Color. Entonces, esas ideas que nos hacen, hoy en día la tecnología nos permite comunicarnos. tener información. No es que todo el mundo que tiene un turbante no es un terrorista, que todos los latinos no somos lo que consideran otras personas que ni voy a decir, pero bueno, hay esa conexión y eso es lo que hago con el podcast cuando digo let's not be a douchebag, porque hay tantos podcasts out there y hay maravillosos, very interesting. Some of them are funny. You have podcasts to learn how to cook, how to, sew, even how to bleach your ass. So what about our attitude? Our attitude is what really defines us. Is we cannot control what happens around us, but we can control how we react to it. So I'm a douchebag in many opportunities, but the idea of evolving and growing up is to acknowledge it, make peace with it, and do not do it again.
Exactly. So, and you're exactly correct, because it's all the evolution as well. We say we're all connected. And going back to what goleadoras, and I want to touch upon your podcast as well, that I would tell you, it's interesting because when I played soccer, I was a girl on the team that had the two bows, that saw the matching bag. And I think that that's a big misconception. And that's what I love about what you do with goleadoras as well, is you're still, when you're on a team, you're allowed to be your own individual self, but you work collaboratively, with everyone else to get the goals done. And that is very different. And I love that you're doing that, because I know that in certain countries we think, oh my gosh, you're giving up your femininity if all of a sudden you're an empowered woman. No, you can be feminine and empowered if that's your choice. You don't have to be, though. That's the only thing we're saying, is you can be an individual in whichever way you want to grow and represent yourself. It doesn't make you less strong because you put on lipstick and a blouse if that's what makes you happy. It also doesn't make you less strong, or it doesn't make you less feminine if you choose not to wear makeup and you want to wear a t-shirt and jeans. You're allowed to be you.
Or to have whatever. You're allowed to be you.
Exactly.
I guess the social currency now, that we all want to be accepted. We all want to be wanted. We all want to belong to it. But you have to belong with your own identity.
Right.
It's like, and I'm surprised that it takes, many years. And I've spoken to friends and girlfriends of mine that are, 40, 50 years old, and they have checked all those little boxes of what you're supposed to do. Graduate high school, graduate college, you find a boyfriend.
Right. All right.
Attention. We are completing the test for today. In 10 minutes, we'll be back online. No more test. Repeat, we'll be completing the test for today. Around 10 minutes.
We're going to do a blooper. So I told you and I were changing the world. And that's what happens, that I've always heard when there's contrast, it means something huge is about to happen. So that just means we have something huge on us. So just throwing that out there.
Like, listen, it's funny. I just came back to Miami, where it's the town that I'm a founding member. I came to Miami to college to study marine biology back in 19. Miami was a very different town. So I've just been seeing recently a lot of friends that I haven't seen in a while, and they all call me by a weather condition. So it's one of them is hurricane, tsunami, Irma. I was like, what is it with you calling me, all these weather conditions? All of a sudden, like,
what did they say?
Now on fire. Apparently, burning my building down. So I hope it's something good and huge, but Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
No, mira, te voy a decir una cosa. When you're a change maker and the universe knows, it also conspires to help you. So I would like to change that thought pattern. I think that the reason they're saying that is because you're a force to be reckoned with in a good way. So you know what? Because what does a hurricane, unfortunately, does cause destruction. But it's just like for myself, you kind of have to sometimes burn everything down in order to build back up. So maybe what you're doing is you're building everything back up, without the destruction. It's just your amazing force of what you're doing. So that's how I would say.
Yeah, because you check all those boxes and then you get married and then you have kids and then you're 40 or you're 50 and you ask, like, who am I? And, you never took the chance to ask who you were. And what we do with goleadoras, and what I think is so amazing about football, is that gives them at an early age the ability to know their weaknesses, their strengths, and to find their own identity in and off the field, on and off the field. Right. So it is a very low cost project with high impact and scalable. So I
Right.
was able to put my brain, my knowledge, and thank God for my platform as working as a model, which sometimes people will say, oh, well, she's just a model. And this is one of the stereotypes that perhaps, you know, modeling gave me the opportunity. It's an incredible job. We all get dressed up. We're all
Right.
fanatics fashion and brands and labels. For me, not really me, but in general, we're obsessed, or the world it's obsessed with brandings and labels, and that will make
Right.
you feel better or stronger or more powerful. I had an understanding of transferring information, cultural information, through
Right.
fashion. Same
Right.
dialogue that we use in fashion, I used it with music. It's a universal language. Working in MTV for 9 years, hosting 3 shows, a daily show, the VMAs, the movie awards, the House of Style. You get to create a dialogue through art, through music, through fashion. The same thing I'm doing it with soccer. It's creating a dialogue of inclusion, of diversity, of respect, mostly.
Right.
And
Well, and I will say this, and I love that you're doing that, because I think too many times people forget the platform they have, and you've really taken that responsibility. And on that note, I want to make sure that we really cover, because we touched upon it twice, but tell us more about this podcast that you launched. I'm so excited on International Women's Day. And what is your ultimate goal, and how can people go ahead and subscribe to follow you? Because as I like to say, we get better when all of us help each other grow. And that to me is one of the most important things. So I really want us to get to why this podcast was so important to you at this time.
Well, it's what I really love about the technology that we have nowadays is that also it gives me the freedom to be able to say and share, thoughts that are for me are very important, that I think they're crucial to the world, that are my curiosities, that are my most intimate experience, by sharing and putting myself in a vulnerable, very vulnerable situations.
Mhm.
I would like for others to ease, I would like to ease the pain of other people, and
Right.
perhaps keep breaking those average mindsets that keep us so constipated, without
Right.
being able to have the power and say yes. And for most, it's for, I'm sharing my fracaso, my
Yeah.
experiences, curiosities, and with all that, with the idea to be able to, sin ninguna pretensión. There's no pretensions about how I have the right answer or the wrong answer. It's just about creating a space where other people can maybe relate and not have to go through something so dumb as, like, you
Right.
know keeps you held back or keeps you from following your heart,
Right.
uh, towards your work or towards your professional and personal growth, because you feel like other people are not going to like you, or other
Right.
people are going to touch you, or you're going to have, going to get fired from your job, and all these things that we were just speaking about.
Right.
So those average mindsets, I call them, douchebags. And I think there are people that are, you go in front of a mirror, and the mirror, it doesn't have an image. It's just a
Right.
reflection. So
Right.
what's what you want to reflect into the world? You want to
Right.
reflect. I don't want you to like me. I want you to like yourself.
Right. I
So,
love that.
and it's called the Zingg. It was my surname, and they call
Mm.
me to, among other weather conditions,
Right.
climate conditions. It's double G, so it's double G, double the fun, double the gain, double the pleasure,
I
and
love
it's
it.
in iHeartRadio on March 8th, International Women's Day. And even though it goes in a very personal, as a woman that I am, way towards messages for girls and for women, but it's also for every man out there, every person who's been called a weirdo, an eccentric, or out of place. It's not out of place. We're doing something great because you're different, and
Right.
never ever feel less than beautiful and then amazing. So just as long as everything comes from a good place, all your actions should be for you to judge, not for
Right.
people to tell you um, that it's wrong or right. Neither
Right.
do I see life. I don't see life as bad and good. And, you do have some choices that you make, and then you'll resolve. But life is very dynamic, and it comes in. It's not like one cabinet that el buen dos gavetas. Tienes una buena y
Sí,
una mala.
sí,
No, Dios, la vida está
mm,
llena de matices y de
yeah,
crecimiento. Y como te digo, I've been a douchebag in many opportunities in my life. I've been able to, acknowledge them, ask
mm,
for disculpas y no repetirlas. Y
sí,
constantemente creo que pues son conversaciones. Mira, no son entrevistas. It's not an interview show. It's just conversations, which
mm,
I have with my audience and with myself, and I'm sharing my curiosities, my thoughts, my own personal experiences, with that idea of making ease the pain and get people to be more responsible for who they are. And that's your biggest responsibility, to find out what's your purpose and what are you here to serve.
You know what? And beautiful for you for finding your mission. And I know that when you look at your resume, that is so full of so much that you have accomplished at such a young age. And I feel at times that's such a beautiful asset, because what that means is that you're not going to just say, you're not the status quo. You're constantly challenging yourself. Okay, I did this. What else can I do? And I think that that is a true testament of an empowered person, is that they're never afraid to learn something else, because it's easy to be stagnant. It's harder to be in movement. And because comfort is comfortable for a reason. There's a reason they call it loungewear. There's a reason they call things comfortable. But when you're not comfortable and you're curious, I think that just by who you are as a person, you're already evolving that. And then you add in the vulnerability piece of owning your story and putting it out there for the world to see. You never know who you're inspiring in that process. And what a beautiful gift that you're giving the rest of the world, for us to be able to live and maybe not repeat the same things, or to learn from your experience and expanding that will. I just want to say on behalf of everyone, thank you, because I wish there were more people like you that did that more, because the more that we own our story, the less power we give whatever it is that people want to say, because the only thing that matters, as you said, is what's reflecting at you back in the mirror. So I have to tell you, your mirror must be really bright. It might not need a mirror, a light in it, because it's just something like, woo, here's Eglantina. So it's just showing back that beautiful light that you have within you. So thank you for sharing your gift, my friend.
Listen, it hasn't been easy. It has taken a long time. I've gone through very tough times, and I have nervous diarrhea. So thank you for your work.
You're sweet to say that. No te preocupes, corazón. So I have one more question for you. Here you are, a businesswoman. Your country, your home country, I should say, Venezuela, has, unfortunately, so much has been going on, there in the country. You have globally tried to help the world. You have done so much. What empowers you? What is it? What is your personal motivation that really gets you going every morning?
Oof. You know what? I would like to say that it's something within me. I do have I think a little superhero inside of me that, doesn't stop or keeps challenging. But I do get down sometimes, many times. But I think it's just generally the ordinary people that I'm able to meet with the work we do with Goleadoras. That you see them doing extraordinary things without looking for anything back in return, and that inspires me 100 times more. It's like, I can do something, they're doing something, they want to receive the tools, but I think it's that. And sometimes I don't even want to, we all have it, I guess. I've been going through a lot of tough times for the past 3 years. Now I'm feeling better, but or have they wake up and they work and they put a big smile and they do extraordinary things. And now you see it with COVID, all the frontline workers, all the doctors, all the nurses, all the I saw the other day this old lady that was crossing the street, and she dropped her bags with all her groceries. And there was another old lady who actually stepped from the thing of the bus and went out there and helped her pick up her things.
Aww.
sweetest thing. She didn't have to.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise, you can just look to the other corner and have nothing to do because it's not of my problem. We are all connected, as you said in the beginning. How can
Yeah.
it not be your problem? Something that is
Right.
affecting you, it's going to affect me one way or the other. So
Right.
that's that sense of camaraderie is what we also instill in goleadoras through that game, through that community, through that sports. And right now, it's been tough for them to be playing on the field, but we created a program for them to create their own lines of communication and become hosts. And it's part of like using their voice and connecting to each other. One is in
Right.
Chile, one is in Mexico, and you know, you see them. They're 8 years old, and that's the 7 to 8 is the perfect age because otherwise, you know, when they become 11 or 12, women tend to lose their voice. You know, why
Right.
they're hormones or your process of development, or it's just kids that are very mean. And I've seen
Right.
parents which have actually blown my mind, inciting the kids to be disrespectful, violent,
Right.
and this culture needs to stop and it needs to
Right.
be addressed. Listen, I started, I've been within my brothers, they're very machistas. My mother, I adore her, she's the love of my life. My mother is also very machista, it's whatever your brothers say, and I've called her out on it. And my father,
Mm.
not to say the top of the machistas, but all
Yeah.
of them taught me something with a lot of love. But then
Yes.
you go out there, I want to work because it's like I want my economical freedom.
Right.
So I work with my brother. He doesn't give me economical freedom. So I was like, all right, we're gonna go modeling. You go modeling, and you find another kind of predators out there.
Yes.
And from
Exactly.
all the era of the Me Too, and it just, for me, it felt super wrong. I never had to thank God, but my work was in many occasions and for a long time completely submitted and subjected to this exchanges of work for body.
Right.
And with all your respect, is
Right.
private.
I love it. But you're saying something that is so important. And I know we're gonna have to go in a little bit, but I want to have you back so we can go further in this subject matter. It's funny, the people I'm meeting with is Broski's Lab, and it's 3 great guys that I'm working with on trying to do some productions that are female centric, which I'm really excited about changing that. And they're trying to change the machismo method in that perspective. But there's something that you said that I've said when I've done public speaking myself as well. I've always said, if we want to change the paradigm in Latin America, we have to look also at how are we as women. I personally don't have a son. I chose not to have children. I had a career that was my choice, and my company is my baby. So that's the baby I decided to have. With that being stated, though, is I always like to say is, but somebody had a mother or somebody had a female influence, and we've allowed this to happen. So it's changing that paradigm shift over how we're raising children to what you said earlier that I think is very important.
But the problem is that most of these mothers or these kids that did not like or act violently, most of the young girls in Latin America are abused by the age they're 12 or 13 years old,
Right.
and they're abused by a family member or somebody that they know.
Right.
So by the
Sad.
time 13 or 12, they had one kid, and then 14, they have another, 18, they have 3 kids, they abandon them. They
Right.
never want, and then they start working, in a house as a waiter, whatever, other
Right.
kind of can find, or just go into drugs and gangs and whatever. These kids are raised without a family structure. So our main
Mhm.
thing in Lotus is for these girls to have a community that can support each other, for them to have the self confidence and
Right.
the patience, so they take better decisions, that they
Right.
feel protected, and they can go ahead and finish their school, get a job, and do not have kids unless they want to,
Right.
unless they want to get married, unless they want to have kids, but with a formation,
Right.
not out. Uh, but it's mainly the 90% of these cases is because these girls have been abused at an early age, and
Right.
they're on pregnancies, and they are even though so it's the constant cycle. If you don't give these girls these opportunities, or empower them so they can actually call the sister or
Right.
call the mom and the mother's not going to tell because you're in Mexico, has such a big case of femicides, and these girls
Yeah.
they get killed and they get hanged, and the girls of Juarez, and then the mothers are going to go, or the aunts are going to say, well, she deserved it, she was wearing a miniskirt, and or if not, abuse,
Yeah.
and they say something, oh no, porque tú eres una provocadora.
Sí. No.
And I think
Sí.
as women, we need to understand how to be more supportive with each other, and to
Right.
also call out on the girls that are doing the wrong things. And well,
Right.
I don't need to call out on anybody. I'm proposing a program that gives them the tools so they can empower themselves and actually have a real shot at achieving their dreams or having a dignified life. And
on that note, because I want you to be able to give more people dignified lives as well. And I know we're going to have to go in a little bit. How can somebody donate to Goleadoras or get involved in your program?
Well, mainly you can go and subscribe at our website, goleadoras.org. There's a page so you can donate towards your own abilities. But otherwise, by subscribing, by sharing our content, by liking us on Instagram, sharing it, telling your sister, calling your niece or your daughter, if they it's not about like creating. It's not a casting call to find the next Messi. It's
Right.
girls that do not know how to play soccer, that do not like how to play soccer, just to come here, give themselves a chance to play,
Right.
and to sweat, and to fall, and to stand up, and to laugh, with their other teammates.
Yes. No, and I think that that's wonderful. And I have to tell you that one of my favorite things that I learned in soccer, because in Granbury, we were a 3A school and we actually played in the state championships with the 5A schools because there weren't that many soccer teams in Texas. So as our little bus would go like an hour and a half to play a game, just because we had to in order to find another team to play with. But one of my favorite things was it was a big game and I literally missed the assist. Like it was like I totally missed the ball and I was like, oh my gosh. And to have to live with that, but then realize that the next game I was going to be fine and I could figure it out was the best thing. I think that that's what we all learn in life is you learn through the things that you miss sometimes instead of what was easy for you to do. And I love that you're doing that with soccer. And I do want to quickly give a shout out to my beautiful niece, Reina Herrera, because she actually is all-star, all academic for the whole state of Texas and playing soccer right now as a senior in high school. I'm so proud of her. She might be going to the Naval Academy and but it's just, she is an amazing girl. So I'm going to have to get you all two together because she's doing some fabulous stuff at the age of 17. I'm so proud of her.
Shout out to her too, and I would love to get to meet her and get her involved in Goleadoras if something.
Yeah.
This program is aligned also with the United Nations, and the alignment with the United Nations, it's to facilitate through, I think what we created with my platform as coming as an entertainer, it's to combine what is the private sector, the public sector, and the non-government and the non-for-profits, or it's you have three: private sector, the governmental sectors, and now there's something that's called for profit, but with social
entrepreneurship. Yeah.
So it's not for profits, private sector, the government, to be able to create and using the platform as communicating. And now that we have all these tools to create the message, and what we do with the United Nations is, since you have the 193 countries that are member states, is to push them to change their policies. Or what we did was we created a tournament during the General Assembly, which they all committed to bring a female team from their country to play, compete, and win. And Goleadoras won 2 years in a row. And our team, it's multicultural. They're all from different parts. They're Latinas, they're Black, they're Greeks, Russians. Queens is the most diverse county in the U.S. So we're able to make a team of diversity, of cultural different backgrounds, of different religions, of different mindsets, and bring them together to play. And they were so compromised with each other, that they won. They won 2 times in a row. They won the Telemundo Cup, the Univision Cup. They won the Queens State League. And in Venezuela, we formed the female league as well. You have to work with all the enterprises, and that's I think it's what's make the difference of creating a project that has the impact and has the right partners, and create the dialogue against with those partnerships as well. That it's good. You're gonna look good doing good. It's doing good.
Exactly.
So
Good just brings more good. And on that, I'm gonna ask you a question for us to close the show. And when I ask the question, I'm gonna say something about you. So I'm just giving you fair warning ahead of time in a good way. So the question I'm gonna ask you is if you could give our audience one piece of advice for them to do to be empowered. That's the question I'm going to ask you. But while you're thinking about your answer, because I always like to close the show with what is it that you really want to get across to everybody about empowerment. But I want to say is to our audience, now you know why I wanted to introduce you to my beautiful friend, Eglantina. There are people that are beautiful on the outside, and that's wonderful, but they radiate differently when you're on the inside out. And Eglantina is truly one of those beautiful individuals from the inside out that is bringing sunshine, and as she's right now in Florida, from the Sunshine State, but in accomplishing goals and always looking at how she can make a difference. And I will tell you this, it's individuals like those that get me motivated. And that's why when we have our conversations, it's so hard for me right now to stop the show, because believe me, Eglantina and I could probably do like a 2-hour special together, because our first conversation, I think, went on for 2 hours. We just had so much fun. We're like, and now we're going to do this and we're going to do all these other things. But that is because good energy matches good energy. And it just keeps growing from there. So I will tell you why she's thinking of her answer. I will say that for me, I want you to walk away with today is look at who's in your circle, because I believe empowerment also comes with what we surround ourselves with. And so if there's one thing to remind yourself is you have one life to live. So make sure that you have great friends like the one I have in Eglantina, that you might not talk every day, but when you do, it really matters. You motivate each other to be better and to grow, because that's what makes our world more connected. And I would encourage you to please go to our podcast. We're going to put that down in the listing as well, direct link. Please go to Goleadoras, find out more about that. And quite frankly, just follow her on Instagram. The woman is doing amazing things. And I will tell you this, it's from everything from learning how to make a cocktail to she's also a comedian, which we'll have to talk about that. And she'll give us some jokes later on at another show. But I will tell you this, she is fantastic individual. And I'm just so happy to have her here with us today. So, Eglantina, what would you like to close the show with when it comes to empowerment?
First of all, thank you. And what you said is something. It's one huge, big piece of advice, and I think it makes a difference. Surround yourself with. If you're sitting on a table and you're the smartest person on that table, then you're sitting on the wrong table.
Right.
Get people to make you question things. Surround yourself with those kind of people. But mostly my piece of advice is love yourself.
Right.
Just don't be we're constantly so harsh with ourselves. Go in and love yourself. And that love that you have for yourself, it's going to express with kindness towards others, towards your family, towards your friends, towards your coworkers, towards your partner, and towards our planet, which is mostly very important. So I think it's that love yourself, and that will eventually become something that's going to inspire you to be kind, and I think we need a lot of self-love. We're always looking for love, for people to love us. As I said, I don't want you to love me. I want you to love you.
Right. I love that. Well, on that note, everyone, I hope you look in the mirror today, and I hope that you tell yourself that you love yourself in honor of Eglantina for today, and then for tomorrow, do it for yourself, because that's the most important thing we can all do is look in that mirror and say, wow, you look good. And what are you radiating back to yourself? So without further ado, thank you, Corazon, for being here with us. Te aprecio tanto. You're amazing. And everyone else, please be sure to subscribe to our Happy Empowerment Show, because you never know what fabulous friend you're going to meet. And again, go love yourself and go look in that mirror. Bye.
And don't miss the Zingg in YouTube. 2Gs.
Yes, do not miss the Zing and YouTube. Subscribe to both, not just one, to both. It's most important to do both.
Yes.
Yes.
Pero bella, congratulations. Gracias a todos y a todos los que están escuchando. Un beso gigante que les vaya directo al corazón.
Ay, gracias.